As of this moment, 172 people are confirmed alive under the rubble of Venezuela's collapsed buildings. Not estimated, not projected. Confirmed. Their buildings identified, their locations marked, rescue teams working toward them right now. The Venezuelan government has their coordinates. International search teams have their acoustic equipment pointed at the concrete above them. And every one of those 172 people is running out of time at the same rate. 1 hour every hour. The earthquake struck on Wednesday at 6:04 in the evening. That means the 72-hour window that emergency medicine defines as the critical threshold for survival closes tomorrow, Saturday, at roughly 6 p.m. As of this broadcast, approximately 48 of those 72 hours are gone. The confirmed death toll has risen from 32 in the first 6 hours to 235 by Thursday morning, to 589 by Friday, to 920 as of this afternoon. That number is not slowing down. And the 172 people confirmed trapped are not the full picture. Thousands more remain missing, their status unknown, in the parts of La Guaira that rescuers have not yet fully reached. This is the story of the next 24 hours in Venezuela. What the biology of survival looks like under concrete. What is being done to beat it. And what happens when the window closes. To understand what the 72-hour threshold actually means, you have to understand what happens inside a human body that is pinned beneath rubble. The immediate danger is obvious. Crush injuries, bleeding, trauma to the skull and spine. Those are the causes of the first wave of deaths, the people who did not survive the collapse itself. But there is a second wave, and it is biological, and it is the reason the 72-hour clock exists. When muscle tissue is compressed for an extended period, the cells begin to break down. Proteins and electrolytes that are normally locked inside muscle fibers leak into the bloodstream. The kidneys, tasked with filtering that blood, are overwhelmed. The result is a condition called crush syndrome, or traumatic rhabdomyolysis, and it triggers acute kidney failure that can develop within 12 to 72 hours of the initial compression. Research from major earthquake disasters, including Turkey in 2023 and Armenia in 1988, has documented that crush syndrome accounted for the majority of ICU admissions following large-scale building collapses. In the 1988 Armenia earthquake, thousands of survivors who were successfully extracted from the rubble died in the following days, not from their injuries, but from the absence of dialysis machines to treat the renal failure that followed. Venezuela's healthcare system reached full capacity on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. some, less than 1 hour after the earthquake struck. Doctors and nurses have been ordered to report to work by emergency decree. There is no confirmed count of how many dialysis machines are operational and available in the areas that need them most. That gap between the number of people who will need renal support in the next 48 hours and the capacity of a healthcare system that was already overwhelmed before the first aftershock arrived is one of the least visible crises unfolding inside this disaster. The other threat is water. Victims who are not severely injured, those who found themselves in structural voids, air pockets created by the way concrete slabs and furniture fell around them, can survive for far longer than 72 hours if they have access to water. After the 2011 Tohoku earthquake, a teenager and his 80-year-old grandmother were found alive after 9 days. A 16-year-old Haitian girl was rescued 15 days after the 2010 Port-au-Prince earthquake. These are not flukes. They are the ceiling of what is possible when the conditions are right, but they require water. In the summer heat of Venezuela's coast, with temperatures rising through the day, dehydration compresses that ceiling rapidly. On the ground in La Guaira and Caracas, the picture that has emerged over the past 48 hours is one of extraordinary effort meeting extraordinary constraint. La Guaira, the coastal state hardest hit by the earthquake, has been placed under military administration. Heavy machinery has been deployed to clear the largest debris fields, though in many neighborhoods it has not arrived quickly enough. Some residents have been clearing rubble with pickaxes and shovels, calling for civilian volunteers in areas where government search teams have not yet appeared. In the town of Caracas, once known for its waterfront hotels and golf and yacht clubs, a resident who traveled from Caracas to look for her father described the scene as looking like a war zone. The building that housed her father's apartment, she said, was no longer standing. She shared video of volunteer rescuers climbing through what remained of it. In one widely shared image from La Guaira, rescuers can be seen pulling a woman out from under a concrete slab. The footage shows nothing visible of her above the surface except a single bare foot. She was alive. The rescue took several minutes of careful work to avoid triggering a secondary collapse of the material around her. 250 buildings have collapsed or sustained damage across La Guaira, Carabaleta, and Playa Grande. More than 6.76 million people, according to the International Organization for Migration, may be affected by the disaster across Venezuela. Of those, an estimated 2 million are considered severely impacted. 138 aftershocks have been recorded since the initial doublet struck on Wednesday. Aftershocks present a specific danger to rescue operations that goes beyond the immediate physical risk. When an aftershock is detected, rescue teams operating inside unstable structures are required to halt, evacuate, and wait for the ground to stabilize before re-entering. Every pause costs minutes. In a 72-hour race, minutes accumulate. The acoustic listening devices that specialized rescue teams carry into these sites work by pressing sensitive microphones against exposed concrete surfaces and listening for any sound that does not belong to the structure: a knock, a voice, a shift in breathing, even a heartbeat. A single confirmed signal stops all heavy machinery within a radius of several hundred meters. The noise of excavation becomes the enemy of detection the moment a signal appears. Teams switch from mechanical to manual. Cranes and bulldozers go quiet. Hands and small tools take over. In the best scenario, a confirmed signal leads to a survivor reached and extracted within hours. In the worst, it leads rescuers to someone who did not survive long enough to be found. Every confirmed signal in La Guaira right now is being treated as the former until the evidence forces otherwise. That choice, Sheikh optimism as operational doctrine, is what the 72-hour window demands of the people working inside it. The international response that began arriving on Thursday has accelerated through Friday. The United States deployed an 80-member team, Virginia Task Force 1, composed of firefighters, doctors, structural engineers, and search and rescue canines, which arrived Friday morning. Spain's emergency military unit landed with ground-penetrating radar and acoustic listening devices that can detect heartbeats and movement through layers of concrete. Germany, Chile, Switzerland, and Turkey have also deployed rescue personnel. India announced Operation Amistad Mahdi, 2 C-17 aircraft carrying a field hospital unit and more than 35 tons of relief supplies. Mexico, El Salvador, and the Dominican Republic arrived on Thursday. Qatar, Brazil, Canada, and Portugal have pledged additional support. And yet, the director of one international relief organization told PBS that no country is prepared to provide the scale of response that this disaster requires. The gap between the size of the need and the speed of the response is visible in the streets. In some blocks of La Guaira, the only people searching for the missing are their neighbors. Among the families waiting for news is Jesuska Inciarte, who lives in Kentucky. She has heard from most of her relatives in Caracas since the earthquake. She has not heard from her cousin, Victoria Campos, or from Ailani Campos, Victoria's 1-month-old baby, who were in La Guaira when the doublet struck. Inciarte has been posting on social media, organizing resources from the United States, and waiting. Her story has been documented by NBC News, but her vigil is not unique. A volunteer website called Desaparecidos Terremoto Venezuela, Missing Persons Earthquake Venezuela, was created in the hours after the earthquake and has become one of the primary tools for the 7.7 million Venezuelans living abroad to search for family members who have not made contact. The profiles on that website are the human shape of the confirmed statistics: 920 dead, 3,360 injured, 172 confirmed trapped, and a number that has not yet been assigned: the people in La Guaira who have not been reached, whose buildings have not been fully excavated, whose names have not yet appeared on any list. The USGS pager model, which assessed a 44% probability of total fatalities exceeding 10,000 when the earthquake first struck, has not been revised downward. The trajectory of the confirmed count, 32 to 235 to 589 to 920 in 48 hours, does not indicate that the model was wrong. It indicates that the full count is not yet in. There is still time. Not much, but there is still time. The science of survival is not a cliff edge at 72 hours. It is a slope. Rescues have happened at 72 hours, at 96, at 164. The longest confirmed survival in recent earthquake history stretches beyond 2 weeks. But each hour past the threshold narrows the window for the 172 people whose coordinates are marked, whose rescuers are moving, whose families are watching whatever connection they still have to Venezuela. The 72-hour mark arrives tomorrow. The next death toll update will tell us how much ground was recovered in the hours between now and then. Subscribe to stay ahead of what's coming.